Hello everyone and welcome to the Zcast for post week 11. I'm HGK561 and I am joined of course by Rebel.
Wait,
say hello.
week 11? I thought we were on week 10.
No, we're week 11.
Oh god, I'm going to go watch the matches and... Can we delay this for another week? I'm not ready.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh.
I'm also joined, this time, by Screen913.
Wait, is that... Since when was he here?
Yeah.
I'm here.
It's been a long time.
I'm eating.
How has... yes, he's eating a chicken sandwich.
It's
In case
good.
you're interested.
I'm starving, but we had to record this, so we compromised. We compromised by.
He ate his fries first.
Right.
Yeah. So, how has your week been, you two? Tell me everything.
No, Squee, you can go first.
You have 2 weeks as well, Squeeze. So
Yeah.
We lost.
I'm expecting news.
Actually, I went to MizumiCon and had a live Dragon Ball Z event that was a huge success. And when I mean huge success, I mean like people jumping up and flipping tables.
Hell yes.
Not really. Like one of the ladies, it was great because it was completely unexpected. She her team. I think someone fell and she's like, nah. She jumps up, she runs up to the table and like mimes flipping it over and then runs back to her chair. It was good times.
I take it you were just showing off the Super Saiyans for that. Nothing else.
No.
What?
Actually,
Why not?
I don't think the Super Saiyans were in that.
What?
Panel
What
at
the
all.
fuck?
Nope.
No, probably a good thing, really.
Yep.
Well, that's the end of the Zcast, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you again next week.
HJK loses all motivation to do anything. Like after we stop recording, he just sits there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, the Skype call's gone. Everyone's gone. Ah dear. Anyway, on to the matches for week 11. We shall start off with.
Wow, you didn't even ask me how my week was. What a prick.
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about you. How was your week, Rebel?
I've been horrifically ill and not sleeping, and I've got an exam tomorrow, so yay.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic. Anyway, on to the next match is Gohans versus Margins. Margins were victorious.
You say victorious, what you mean is they stomped the fucking Gohans into the ground, is what you mean.
This is a very good example of just how bad it can be to skip a build for the week. Especially when the Majins sniff you out.
Yeah.
Especially when there's 2 weeks to do it in now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, like, I'm not going to get too hard on the Gohans because, look, everyone's got problems. I mean, life happens. And
Rebel
mistakes
has loads
happen.
of problems, to be fair. So. That's
Yeah,
why
you're
he stopped
most
coaching.
of them. Let's
Wow.
be honest here.
But I mean, like, so I'm not really upset at the Gohans at all or anything like that. But it is a shining example of, look, the Majins saw the Gohans coming. They prepared for them. The Gohans didn't post a build, and they were slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
Yeah, it was quite an exciting match.
And
really.
the Majins, believe it or not, the Majins are like have one of the second highest win records in the league.
The Majins are really good.
Not doing too bad.
I know. Like I was looking at the stats. I'm like, really? Wow.
Well, you just don't notice them because they're all the way down there in fucking South Kai.
Right? I know. This is what they should have been last season when they were in North Kai.
So there was that slight problem of, like, no change in builds.
Right.
Well, I mean, it was alright. I mean, it just means the Gohans are a bit further behind. Not that it matters at all anymore, but, I don't really have anything else to say for that match, really. I mean,
Yeah, it was
actually, we
fun.
could probably talk about...
Oh yeah,
So that-
all of those ultimates. That was cool.
Oh,
Like,
what was
all
that?
of those fucking ultimates from the little one on the other little one.
Marjube.
Yeah, that one. On
I
the
remember
that
now,
was
yeah.
fucking hilarious. I enjoyed that a lot.
That was.
Just like looking around and suddenly, wham! Second ultimate hits him. That was just.
That Majube is crazy.
I think we need to nerf him.
Right now, for the whole season, that man has thrown out
54 and hit with 35.
This is like
54 B2s. Now, and here's the thing. Not only is he the highest B2 thrower, I think he's the highest B2 thrower by at least 10.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I think
and this is
so,
also
yeah.
before
Looking right now.
week 11, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
this is
I
before
mean,
week 11.
that's true. That's true. What I'm looking at is before this week. No, that's not true. believe it or not, Fasha's only 4 behind. Fasha is only 4 behind him.
All of those energy beliefs.
Wow, I suppose so, yeah. But still, that's 54 B2s is insane.
Yeah, it's alright, I suppose.
Rebel's like, I throw out 80 a day.
Keep the doctor away.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but, you know.
So, I mean, even though he's only got a 65% completion rate, who cares?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hardly.
His
still
hit
good.
rate is more than half the league's total fired rate.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's about it, though. That's all that's good with margins.
no.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the Majin Vegeta is nowhere near their best player this season, which is kind of odd. It's Spopovich and Maju. Babidi is Babidi, of course. Deborah is kind of lackluster this season.
Yeah,
Not
it's been
that
weird.
it's-
He's had performances where he's been absolutely fantastic, and then
Right.
he sort of dropped off a bit.
And he used to be really, really on the ball with that evil impulse, and now he likes to throw it from a mile away. And
Yeah.
not
yeah.
that they're really needed.
No,
No, they're kicking butt and taking names. So
I mean, you know, Deborah's still doing okay.
right now, the Gohans were saved, of course. Like this loss could have hurt them much, much worse than it did. Luckily, other teams didn't take advantage of it, so the Gohans kind of dodged a big bullet with that one.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's true, actually. They did. Margins, though, they're pretty far away on the top of the division.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to catch them.
2-match lead
Yeah.
on the
Yeah, I mean, in
Earth's
order to pass them, I mean, when did the Earth Defenders and Margins fight in what week
13, week 13.
Week 13. So, you know, in order to get that, the Earth Defenders need to have that as part of their of 2 wins that they get that the Margins don't.
Right.
So
Now,
they need
if
to
they
win at
get
least one game, then beat the Margins in order to secure top spot. And even then, the Margins only need to like keep winning to stay ahead of them. So
right, it's still very possible, but it is, there's to the point of you have to rely on the other team to lose one, and you never like being in that position.
No, yeah.
But then
that's
again, you know, the rest of South Sky is pretty,
tight.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the closest divisions. It's a scary division, that one. Because if you think about it, theoretically, no one's safe. Not even the Majins. The Majins, theoretically, it's very unlikely, but theoretically could lose all remaining 4 matches, everyone else win, and the Majins don't make it to the playoffs.
Find that amusing.
That would be
Greatly
quite
amusing.
funny. Let me look.
I would giggle. I'd feel horrible for the Majins, but I would giggle.
That's actually really interesting. Week 13 and 14 for the Margins are divisional matches.
Oh, wow. So, yeah.
Earth Defenders, Ginyu.
And the Ginyu, well, we'll wait until we get to the Ginyu.
And leading on from that, the next match. Blades versus Cold. Which Blades?
Really good fight, actually.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I mean,
surprisingly.
Cold, it wasn't a win for the Cold, but in the past 2 weeks, we have seen a large increase in their performance. I don't know if it's enough to save them.
Well, maybe. I mean, they're only 1 match behind now.
Yeah, that's the
True.
thing. They're only, that, like, the bottom of that division is so weird. It's I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it is pretty weird. It's weird to think you could be in bottom for the entire season and then by like week 14 or something.
Yeah, they're still in contention for the Tenkaichi Bowl theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Which if they win, that'll be a hell of a comeback story.
That would be. I don't think they're going to, though.
I would love that. If they win the Tenkaichi Bowl and Margins don't make it to the playoffs, bam, season sorted.
I think Frieza did extremely well. He made one of the best tags in league history. Maybe not the best. I'm sure it's happened before, but one of the best tags in league history.
Yeah.
Using a transformation to get his life just above 2 bars and then tagging out to come back in with 3 bars. Brilliant.
Yeah, defensive
save
was
him.
working pretty well. So.
But brilliant.
That's pretty much Cold, isn't it? I mean, they do a lot. They're doing well in terms of damage.
You know, the thing that strikes me as odd is that Cooler at the beginning of the season, I said this during the commentary, he was scary. Now he's meh.
Who, Frieza?
Freezer was
No, Cooler. No, I mean Cooler.
Oh, Cooler, yeah.
No, Cooler's. I don't know.
He's
Yeah,
okay,
I
but
guess.
the first couple of weeks of the season, he was the guy that you didn't want to face because his B2s were all hitting for 10,000, and he was throwing them out like hotcakes. And now he's just
Yeah, it's not going so well for him. But no.
but
weird.
the Blades.
Seems, go on.
I was gonna say, but the Blades, on the other hand, are doing really, really good
Fantastic
in their own right.
win. That was
Yeah, they are. They're still the only team with 2 elite players. And Tapion, I don't know why he got all chivalrous at the end there. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make this on even grounds, and I'm still going to kick your ass.
Sounds like Tapion. But I mean that. One of the again of an incredibly close division. Blades have finally not tied with Namek for a top spot.
I know, right? And it was funny because the coach of the Blades was like, finally! It's been, I think what he said, I think this is true. It had been 5 weeks where not only were they tied, there was no change in that division.
Oh, really?
Every team stayed where it was.
Wow.
Yeah, divisional, ranking speaking.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
But yeah, and of course that whole division, East Kai, the Blades, Nameks, and Androids are so neck and neck right now.
I mean, you say South Kai can turn around and the top team can not make it. That is even more so the case with East Kai.
Not quite. I mean, Derp's really
No, it
far
is.
behind.
3 compared to 4. Derp would need to win. Derp would still need to win 4 compared to the others, but the others are only 1 game behind them.
Right. I get you. I agree with you. Yeah, you're right.
Theoretically, they could do it.
Theoretically, it's possible. I think it's probably even less likely, though, than South Kai's turning around.
Yeah, but for Team Derp's sake, honestly, they just need to get into the playoffs, and that's still doable. That's still very
that's
doable.
Definitely doable.
They're 2 behind Nameks. I don't know if they've no, Android's 1, so they're 3 behind Androids.
According to HJK's things, the Androids and Namek are on the same level.
Seriously? Oh, you know what? Never mind. These have already been updated. I thought we were looking at the week before.
Scared the shit.
So yes,
out
no,
of
you're
me.
absolutely right. So you're right. They're 2 behind the other teams. Theoretically, they could still do it, but yeah, no, you're right. Poor
I just
Derp.
think, given the competition they're up against, is pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
Although I think we'll end up getting into that and what we think is going to happen with the divisions a little bit later, because we can go through what the coming matches are and stuff a little bit later in the Zcast. So
It's gonna be good times. You guys stay tuned. Grab a beer.
yeah.
Now we need a jingle or something. We go to an advert break.
If you're underage, we do not suggest you drinking alcoholic beverages.
If you're underage, I suggest you go to your parents or elder brother, elder sister, an older friend. Go get them to get you the alcohol. Full deniability. It's absolutely fine. It's actually
true.
fantastic.
It's true. If your parents allow it, anyone can drink.
It's perfectly fine. It was brilliant. Okay, this was a couple of months ago, about 11 o'clock at night. No idea why. One of my friends said, listen, really want to go to Tesco. Okay. He wanted to go and get alcohol. This is a guy that doesn't generally drink, so I was like, okay, well, kind of fancy getting some myself, so sure, let's go. Okay. He completely forgot ID. And then decided, right, fine, so I said, right, fine, I'll get it for you. Go fuck off somewhere else and somewhere else. So, wandered down this. And the woman at the self-checkout thing, because for some reason you need a staff member standing by next to the self-checkout.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Ugh, it's really irritating. It's like, you have all of these scanners and sensors, why can't you let me just, flash my ID at a camera, look at the camera, have the camera say, there you go, you're fine.
Could you imagine that? A CCTV camera just nods.
Yeah, basically, Rebel's like, why haven't you guys made Skynet yet? Come on, get on with it.
Why haven't you guys just used technology like you're fucking supposed to?
Why can't a common grocery store have super sophisticated cameras that not only recognize my ID, cross-reference the age, but also nod at me?
Yeah. That's not even a nod, just give me a little, signal and just let me pay for the stuff. But anyway, so, I don't quite know, she'd probably just been watching. This place was fucking deserted at this point of night, which, it's perfectly reasonable. It was 11 o'clock at night. And then, he was sort of on his way out, and she called him over, said, do you have ID? I'm like, hang on a second, I'm buying it. It doesn't matter. What? I don't understand. I'm the one paying. It's my money. You're selling it to me. You're not selling it to anybody else. He's not technically with me. What are you doing?
Thanks, Obama.
What? Hey! You can't blame our president for that.
No, it's all your fault. I'm
That's
blaming
right.
you Americans.
Oh, I can blame America, sure. I'm just saying, leave our president alone. He has a hard enough time.
He's a very busy man.
He's got to play
dear.
basketball and stuff. It's very, very upsetting.
Speaking of which, Namek versus Valkyries is the next match.
Man, what a segue. What a segue.
I'm struggling a bit here.
Valkyries were victorious against Namek. Very important for both teams. That result.
Yeah, no,
It was.
absolutely.
It was very, very important.
Puts the Valkyries
and the
tied for
Valkyries,
top.
what a
Yeah,
nice
what's
team they have become.
Nice.
It's weird. The Valkyries.
How nice. They're very relaxing.
Yeah, they're like one of those teams. Like,
Calming.
this is something I was going to mention with Cold. It's like Cold has a couple of really, really strong players. Same goes for the Valkyries. They have a couple of players that are performing really, really well, or at least passably well. And then like the rest of the team should be doing fantastically. Like just based on reputation, they should be doing really, really well. But for some reason, they're not. Like the performances are really intermittent and weird. And yeah, there's no I can't actually explain why all of the Valkyries, especially 18, can't explain them. Or Aurelie.
It is true. It is sad that the Valkyries, despite their amazing record, they're 7-4, which is the third highest. I mean, they're tied, of course, but the third highest win-loss record in the league. And I would say 80% of that has been Fasha and Aurelie.
Yes, pretty much.
Fasha and Aurelie. With Stay a Woman, surprise, surprise, probably coming in third.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pan in 18, and what happened to 18?
Don't know.
She used to be so powerful. Even Pan, I mean, now here's the thing, and here's why they're able to get their 7 and 4, of course. That even Pan and Aurelie, even Pan, Aurelie, and believe it or not, Fasha, no. Even 18 and Pan do have their moments and hold their own. I mean, last week Pan did a decent job. But, yeah, I mean, you look at the team, there's nothing other than Fasha. There's nothing that's just jumps out at you like, oh, my God. Yeah. But it's definitely true. Those two teams are carrying it. If they can figure the other three people out, my God, that's going to be a scary team.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. That's won't sleep for a week. Though I guess you could say the same for Namek. Though recently they have been slipping a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm
not
not
compared to what we've seen of slipped quite badly.
I'm wondering how much of that, because it's true they are slipping, but I'm wondering how much of that is they're slipping and how much of it is they've been facing a lot of really tough opponents lately.
Well, I think
That
it's
is true as
partly
well.
they've been facing a lot of really tough opponents, and also partly they've gotten used to having Tambourine when he comes in. When they've got him playing, absolutely wrecking face, and teams have started actually figuring out the counter to him isn't trying to do the opposite. It's actually just going straight up and beating the shit out of them.
Logic.
Right, but that said, like
Violence
I said,
is always the answer.
I do agree that while their performance has been slipping of late, it's not by any means bad. I mean, they have two players in the top five ranked, and they are ranked number 2 in most damaging teams. So they are still doing incredibly well. I think that it's a good mix of, for whatever reason, the past few weeks they haven't been up to standards, and they've been not quite up to standards against really good teams.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I honestly don't think that the Nameks are in too much trouble, and this is why I honestly think that if Derp actually makes it into the playoffs, it's going to be against the androids. I really don't think the Blades or the Nameks have anything to fear.
Well, what are the matches?
I think that's what I was going to say. That's something we should look into when we go over the
Okay,
future matches.
yes, we'll go over that more. But I do think that I just want to put that out there. I don't think it's entirely Namekians just haven't been putting out. I think that a lot of it's just their play card lately has been hard.
Yeah, no, they have been. Yeah.
But even so, I mean, let's have a look. It does, as we said, earlier on the Blades front, now Namek have kind of slipped to second, and it's not going to be as easy
It's not
keeping
easy.
up
I
the
mean,
Blades.
you need those wins. You need to just keep going.
It's true. It's very, very true. I agree with you.
And it's getting the thing is right now is it's getting to the point of the season where a lot of teams are looking at it going, shit. Teams like the Super Saiyans, and possibly the Margins maybe are looking at going a little bit more experimental.
Right.
Certainly the Super Saiyans are looking at changing things up, trying to figure out, what crazy shit can we do with our players, and where can we go? What can we do that doesn't
And still
necessarily
stomp on Squeeze Heart.
Of course.
Dear.
It's the one bit of satisfaction we all get from seeing you lose. But seeing what they can do and what they can eke out of their players, and just can they stumble across something that's just gold? And you have to look at that sort of thing and go, well, fuck. We're sitting here in really tight, really close divisions, and they're just streaking ahead with all of that testing. It makes things really awkward.
It's very, very true. Yeah. I would say that, what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Hang on.
Probably nothing important.
No, it's important. Oh, yes. I wanted to bring up, because I like pointing this out when this happens, because this is a good thing and should be encouraged. I like how the Namekians actually tried to plan for the team they were going up against. We've seen Tambourine be a starter almost every week that he was in. And this was one of the first weeks he wasn't a starter, and I think it was a good choice because they looked at the fouls and said, we're not going to put up our best teammate against Fasha. That's just like making our best teammate a punching bag. No, let's put someone else in there who might be better suited, because, look, someone like Fasha, you don't put a tank in there, it's not going to stop her. It's not going to do anything to her.
Well, the thing is that the problem they have is they put a melee character in there as well.
Yeah.
And, there are, it is quite insane. Countering Tambourine, you put a melee person in.
I
Countering
understand.
Fasha is well, what the fuck? To be honest with you, probably the best bet is actually to put in a B2 character, despite how illogical that actually sounds.
A B2 spammer, an ultimate, if you can get him in there, I agree with you.
But the problem is that you put a melee character, they are just going to be completely outplayed. It's really unlikely that anyone is actually going to out-melee Fasha.
So while I agree
nice
the
idea.
execution wasn't perfect, the theory behind it was sound, and I do like seeing, and we've talked about this before, how teams are starting to not just build their team, but look at their opponents and act accordingly.
Yeah.
Didn't quite help them.
Still,
It was
a nice
good
theory.
mindset. Good mindset. The next match was Dragon Ball Warriors versus Muscle, which Muscle won.
Really
I was a bit
good
surprised
match.
about them.
Yeah.
Oh man, we've seen in the past. We've seen that Roshi could be good. We've seen little spurts of him do really well. I think this is the first time we've seen him just step on the field and own it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the
The
second
master.
time. I think there was a point earlier in the season, I think.
I think you and I are thinking about the same thing. The only thing with that is, yes, he was performed just as well, but he was only on the field for a very short period of time when he was doing that well. This one, it was like he was on for a long period of time and was just awesome.
Yeah. I think something probably that Muscle are eventually going to realise that Broly isn't actually a very good starter. They've just been sort of constantly throwing him out, going, okay, we'll put Broly out, we'll see what happens, we'll hope he does something. In theory, he should work, but no. And he just sort of implodes and does horribly.
I was just imagining that.
In theory, Broly is actually an awesome starter. I think he's probably actually, in terms of practice, probably better suited to closing things off, or... Actually, no, probably closing things off. He's probably among the better closers of the entire league, to be honest with you.
Just as long as you get him to transform
While
freely.
I do agree that he shouldn't be a starter, I can't agree that he did horribly as a starter this week. He actually had the upper hand of that entire fight with Tao until Tao started launching some ultimates, or a ultimate. Well, let me put it this way. No, he did really good against Tao. Then it was kind of fought back to an even match. With an even match against Tao is great, and then an ultimate finished it off. So it's not like Broly did nothing as a starter. I will agree, though, maybe not the best position for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he did badly. It's just you would, if you put one of the better, more consistent starters of the league up against Tao as he was performing there, I don't imagine he would have had nearly as much opportunity to do the damage that he did.
I don't think Roshi would be a bad choice as an opener. Put him with a Rising Fighting Spirit and let him go.
Yeah, no, it could definitely work, especially given the build he's on.
I think they tried that, didn't they, before? And he was the starter for a while.
Yeah, the problem with Team Muscle that they've got is that they don't have a good natural starter. Not a really great one. Most of their team are, I guess, what you would say late game.
Yeah,
they need to build up. Bojack's got great ultimates, and they're all great when they transform, except for Garlic Jr. But they got to get to that point first, so they don't have a decent.
Garlic Jr. and 13 are probably their best starters.
Probably. I mean, I'm looking at them now.
Yeah,
I can't see anyone else who'd be.
Like,
yeah.
you look at Garlic Jr., you look at someone who is small, fast, capable of getting, a very early advantage going, and, you would hope keeping it up. And 13 is just a good character, someone who's got the right build on his back. But, the thing about a starter is you need to build a starter. It's not just, you slap any old build on them and it'll work. You actually need to build the starter for the bit of the game that you're looking for them to control, because that's the one thing you have the control over.
Dragon Ball Warriors, though, they fought well.
No, they did. They did good.
They did fight well. Who did
It was
they
a good
play?
match.
I've forgotten who they put out. It was
Tao.
Tao obviously started, and it was Grandpa Gohan, Pilaf,
Nom and Pilaf.
and Nom. Okay, right, yeah. Grandpa Gohan. He's starting to look like a very clear weakling. Him and Pilaf.
Well, hang on. Grandpa Gohan didn't do much this week, sure, but other than this week, he's still been very solid.
I know. I mean, just for this match.
Oh, okay. Well, for this match, they were fighting Roshi. What did you expect? Roshi was on fire. He Grandpa Gohan didn't have much of a chance to do anything. And Pilaf actually has been one of the stronger players on the team. This week, he didn't do much.
He's been the weakest player on the team, actually. He's been the weakest player on the team.
No, that's Grandpa Gohan, but only by 100 points.
Pilaf, I'm pretty sure, is 55th or 49th.
Yeah,
49th.
Grandpa Gohan should be a bit beneath him.
Oh, he's 50th. Sorry, I was looking at the ones for the week before that. Sorry.
Oh,
my apologies. It's close.
It is quite close, to be
It's
fair.
actually... Wait, hang on a second.
450 points.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, one's 49th place, the other's 50th.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Why? I love these stats, because if you had asked me that, I would not have thought that.
Hang on, I'm confused.
Because, I mean, you think about Pilaf over the season, he's been really good. His rock throws, he's been a solid character. I never not expected him to be
so is Grandpa Gohan.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but still. And you look at this, their team is amazing, and they've got a 40th, 49th, and 50th ranked character.
Mm-hmm. 10, they're the top most damaging team in the league, aren't they?
Yep. And they've got actually 2 people in the top 10, so that's probably it too.
They also have an elite member as well.
But and I believe they have the most. Yeah, they do. They have the most tags of any team, which is, I'm positive, a big boost.
No, absolutely is. Yeah, I mean, if you combine, do they really have the? Wow. Yeah. If you combine the fact that they do the most damage to the fact that they have the most tags, I'm actually surprised they don't have a better win-loss record.
I think I actually put that in a pop-up this week for one of the little pop-up videos, is that they have the highest damaging team, and that this could be connected to the fact that they also have the highest tag-out rate.
Yeah.
Unlike the Boos, who have 3 tag-outs for the entire season.
Wow. I did not know that. That's funny. That's funny.
Pretty bad.
Even so, though, that losing that match...
For Dragon Ball Warriors,
yeah, not helpful, especially with Valkyries now
it's
tied.
It's not helpful. The thing is that with if Muscle put out that performance against the Valkyries when they end up fighting, next week, you're looking not necessarily. It depends who the Dragon Ball Warriors facing. Gohan's, so that'll be another interesting one. I think the Dragon Ball's probably got the advantage in that one, but it's not going to be easy for any of the teams to make it through. Or to, that top spot is going to be pretty hotly contested, and I think probably Dragon Ball Warriors have the advantage for now.
They do. They've beaten the Valkyries, so they're still ahead.
Yeah.
They're
still ahead that way, but at the same time.
Interesting note in the stats, everyone. I just looked this up, and this will throw a caveat into Oh my god, they have the most tag outs. No wonder the highest damaging team. Second most tag outs of any team in the league, the Saiyans, who happen to be ranked last in most damage. So it's obviously not just the tag outs.
No. You know what? Tag outs OP. We need to find a way to get rid of this.
We need to nerf tag outs.
They hit every single time. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
I do have a...
Go ahead.
2 + 2 is 4. We're very proud
No,
of
it's
you,
not.
Chicken.
It's 5. Doing maths
We're not
wrong.
proud of Rebel.
I'm thinking, if the Vowels beat Muscle next week, but by the end of the season, Dragon Ball Warriors, Vowels, and Muscle are all tied, if that's even possible.
Yeah, it probably is.
Who
Let's just go
would-
off the hypothetical thing.
Who would go top? Because Dragon Ball Warriors have beaten Vowels, Vowels would have beaten Muscle, and Muscle would have beaten Dragon Ball Warriors.
I think then it's actually pretty interesting. I would guess. Might be worth going off something like go it off damage, perhaps.
Yeah, something like that might work.
Like just have that as a secondary decider, maybe.
I think that would be the best bet. Go off damage. I know people are going to be screaming tiebreaker, but as we've said many, many times, tiebreakers are inherently unfair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Damage then.
So yeah. I mean, it's a stat that we have that is well documented. It's really fucking specific,
Right.
so it makes the most sense.
Which would be Dragon Ball Warriors, hands down.
Yes.
Yeah.
By almost, I imagine probably a pretty insurmountable thing, given Muscle a 14th, Valkyrie's a 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like Rebel said, the Dragon Ball Warriors have the advantage for that top spot. That basically Valkyries and Muscle have to just beat them out.
The next match is Rugrats versus Androids, which the Androids won.
and from what I remember, it was a pretty close match.
It came down to 17 and 8er, I think. Not 17 and 8. It can't be 17 and 8.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's what we call fratricide. No, 17 and Chi-Chi, I believe, is what it came down to. And while Chi-Chi is a good player, surprisingly,
Nowhere near the level of...
It's 17. Yeah. I would say, while it was a good fight overall, this was the first week where... God, I said Chi-Chi's a good player. She's ranked 78th. But how is that possible? She's been good. I don't
Not really, though.
understand.
Like, she's had
Yeah.
moments
Really not.
where she's been actually...
Yeah,
where she's been
yeah.
good, but then you've had more times where she's either tagged in and done... Here's the thing about the rankings. The Rugrats usually use Chi-Chi as a closer.
Right.
So you have her tagging in, maybe doing a bit, maybe dying, and possibly finishing someone off. She's not usually in for long enough to do the kind of damage you would expect of...
Actually, it's part of what you're saying, too, because now I know why I'm thinking Chi-Chi's good, because actually Chi-Chi does okay, and she has been the deciding factor of several of their matches. But because she's a closer, she will naturally have a lower ranking, because she just doesn't have as much damage to do.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that Burnerator and I have been discussing, because a lot of teams have brought this up. Might have been the Rugrats, actually, I don't remember who. But... that their closers are naturally low on the rankings, not because they're bad, but because they're not getting a lot of damage because they're just cleanup. And the only way to offset that, basically, is to also count damage done, and our stat team, we would kill them if we tried to make them do
Here's the thing. The stats, and I've said this before, the stats are lovely. Really fucking useful. But you have to take every single statistic in context.
Right.
I could say... Chi-Chi is a horrible player. Chi-Chi, Pan, and Nappa are horrible players, and you should drop them immediately.
Well, Nappa is.
Debatable.
No, after this week, maybe.
No, that's true.
They said they fixed them, and the week was true to their word. We'll have to wait more, but...
But the thing is, like, with Chi-Chi, like Chi-Chi, Saiyaman, Android 18, even. You say, drop them. Well, Android 18 we know can be amazing.
Right.
And oftentimes comes out as a closer, as we've seen. Saiyaman hasn't been doing great recently. But again, don't know whether he's coming out with closure or not. I haven't been paying enough attention.
No, he's usually just not been doing well.
Yeah, but he has obviously the potential, we know, to do much better. And Chi-Chi, again, comes out as a closer quite often, so it's not... You have to take those things in context, and you have to take into account, what's gone before if you have that data. It's like taking the statistics as just isolated things is really quite a bad idea.
That's statistics in and of themselves, they're never...
Yeah, they don't tell the whole picture. You have to take them in context.
Completely...
But I will say that this is the first week where Gotenks has not been brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that Gotenks did bad. He did his job. He was average. But that was the thing, is that Gotenks this season hasn't really been average. He's usually been scary. And he just wasn't this week.
And the thing is with Gotenks, when you're putting that much on him, you can't... Average isn't okay. You can't accept that.
Right.
And I think
and so far, as overall in the season, he's been hitting their expectations. It's just not this week.
Yeah.
I mean, you're losing a tag as well. So
right.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You can't afford to be average. You're losing potentially, several health bars of potential there, and just like several health bars for the whole team. You're losing a lot of longevity, so he needs to be better than average.
Yeah, fusion is always a double-edged sword. I'm happy that it looks like overall they seem to have gotten fusion working for them, but even if they truly get Gotenks at his best, there are going to be weeks where it just wasn't worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
And you just hope that overall it's worth it. The good times outweigh the bad, which they have this season. Yeah. Just this week wasn't really their day.
Yeah, no, perfectly so.
It's a shame because they're now bottom of South Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Joint bottom.
Not that they couldn't get up, but
they joint. They're bottom. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're tied with Ginyu, but Ginyu won their...
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Androids, on the other hand, tied with Namek for...
Second place.
I guess second place, yeah.
Yep.
And only one away from the top spot.
The thing is, right now, we can close to safely say the Androids and Nameks are through to the playoffs.
Yes.
They're going to have to play each other, they're going to have to, duke it out, but really the chances of Derp catching up to them, I think, are pretty unlikely. As I said before, something we'll go into a little bit later on, is going through a lot of that, and, once I actually have a proper look at the things, our opinions might change, but right now, looking at the way Derp's been performing, it's not a likely thing that they're going to make it.
And an interesting thing to point out with the Androids, and why they're one of the reasons why they're doing so well, is they've got 3 players on their team with above 80% hit rates on their B2s. 88%, 83%, 89%. That is a lot of damage.
I'll give you the other reason the Androids are doing so well, is that all of their team, every single player on their team, is better than average.
That's true.
Or about average, with the exception of Cell, who is, way better than average.
Right.
All of their team, none of their team is pointedly bad, which is fantastic for them.
Right.
Something they can sit there and say, right, we can now, use this as a baseline and improve.
I would say that I would say if it wasn't for the life drain, Jiro would be inherently bad. But that life drain...
If Jiro didn't have the life drain, he would be a completely different character.
That's true.
Because the life drain is the main method of getting energy and also health back. The Jiro would be a character that you just couldn't use without it.
Right. I guess that makes sense, yeah. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They have a strong foundation. Look at what I said. Their B2 hit rates. No one on that team under 60%.
Yeah.
That's a good, solid team right there.
Yeah.
Their clash rate wins 83%, 75%, 71%, and then you got 25%. But still, that means they win a large portion of their clashes, and that is huge in fights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these are, and I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at their build history, but I don't know if they really spend a lot of points on clashes. I don't know if that's a base. They're just good at clashes, or their androids consciously try to get those stats.
Doesn't seem to be. They had A power of ranged last week. Nothing there. Yeah, it just seems to be a thing that they can do. I'm not sure if they're inherently good at clash rates, or
Especially
clashes.
against the Rugrats.
One of these days, we'll have to, when we have a year of free time, we'll have to figure out people's base clash rates. Because we know they're different. We know some characters are better at clashes than others. The problem is, in order to actually get that information, we would literally have to just clash everyone and see who wins the most.
Yeah, either that or someone has to go and dig through code. I might do that at some point if I can be bothered.
Like that. But no, I'm with you. Androids are an incredibly solid team. I wouldn't call them. I can't use the word phenomenal anymore as much as I like to because of the puns involved. But I wouldn't call them a superstar team, but they are a very solid team.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty much. They're the halfway point.
Yeah, they're a team that you can never underestimate. They're capable of beating anyone. It's not out of the realms of possibility that they can beat anyone in the league. It's not necessarily particularly likely that they beat the top tier teams. However, it's certainly not outside the realms of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next match then. Boo versus Ginyu Force, which Ginyu Force
basically won with 3 players. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
That's what happens when you rest Kid Boo. I think they had to, but even so.
Probably did, yeah.
Kind of highlighting a weakness in Boo there.
Well, I don't know. I've said this before. Kid Boo is a great player, and probably is the cornerstone of the team, but they don't need him to win games. The other players are perfectly capable of doing it.
You look at the team, Kid Boo's 70,000 average, before week 11, obviously. The next one is Evil Boo at 49.
Yep.
And then the next one after that is Margin Boo at 32.
I didn't say it was likely that they would win without Kid Boo. I said they're certainly capable of it.
Brilliant.
Completely different things.
But both as, inconclusive as each other.
Yeah.
Here's a big problem with the Boos. And you can see this, and I even said it before. For the entire season, 3 tag outs.
Wow.
Kid Boo has tagged out twice. Evil Boo has tagged out once. Majin Boo, Gohan Boo, and Oob have never tagged out. And I'm sorry, I know tag outs aren't everything, but if you never tag out, you basically, your health advantage versus your other teams is drastically reduced. Because if they're tagging out, I mean, take this like the Boos
not even health
versus,
advantage. Even if the tag outs are absolutely terrible, your energy advantage.
That's true, yeah, the energy advantage. I mean, think about it. The Boos versus someone like Dragon Ball Warriors. I mean, the Dragon Ball Warriors are going to have more health, more energy, more everything because they're tagging out. The Boos don't have horrible stats in any one thing. In fact, they are amazing in their ultimates. I'm looking at this. Yeah. Every single person who has fired an ultimate has connected. We have 400% hit rates for ultimates for the Boos, except for Gohan Boo, who's just... Wait.
That ultimate is the worst ultimate ever, though.
Except for Gohan Boo, who never hits anything. But they're a solid team. Even looking at their stats, you can see that they should be a solid team. I think, honestly, tags are killing them, and just bad AI.
Yeah. I would say the AI, because obviously you can't affect the tags.
So I would say to whoever's controlling the Boos, I think your builds are quite nice overall. I think your AIs are really what need the work. And of course, the sad part is that if you're working on the AIs, then you may have to change the builds completely when you find an AI that works. But yeah, and that 2 things. 1, yes, the Boos are struggling a lot, and 2, damn that Ginyu Force.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Full credit to Coach Ginyus. They're doing they're improving. They're doing fucking brilliantly now.
And I said that during the video. I don't remember if it was during the recorded or just during the stream. But it's interesting because at the beginning of the season, we were all looking at the Ginyu Force and going, "These are just bad mistakes. These are not great builds. These are." It looked like a new coach, and it was. It was an absolutely new coach. He'd never been a coach of anything before, and you saw the win-loss record suffer. Yeah. But you saw as the season went on, he slowly learned what worked and what didn't, and he's finally, in these past couple of weeks, started to get his team to work, and it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and here's one thing that I really, really want to point out. I've pointed this out before with the Dragon Ball Warriors as well, and it applies more, I think, with the Ginyu Force than the Dragon Ball Warriors. a lot of people said from like just going through, especially some of the veterans of the league who've gone through season 1 where the Ginyu Force was like joint worst with cold, and have gone through all of the seasons where the Ginyu Force have had their moments of brilliance. Season 2, and I can't remember if 3. I don't think 3 was one of them, but season 2 certainly was one of those moments of the Ginyu Force where they were one of the best teams in the league for a bit, and then they just dropped off the face of the league for they just didn't win after like week 5 or something. They went like 5-0, and then they just lost everything after that point, or something along those lines. Anyway, it was close to that. A lot of people have tried making the argument that the Ginyu Force are a bad team, that their players are just bad inherently. They're not. The players on the Ginyu Force, with the exception of Ginyu, are actually really, really solid. And even Ginyu, if you discount his ultimate, Ginyu's actually a very good player. They're awkward to build, don't get me wrong. They're not the most pleasant team to work with, because there's so much you can actually do with them. They don't really have glaring weaknesses. They've pretty much all got that go to max power B1. I think, in fact, initially, that's not true. They all have that go to max power B1, as well as a couple of other things. They've got some like oddities like the self-harm, the body change ultimate, and just some things that aren't absolutely perfect. But at the end of the day, you have a team of really, really solid players. That I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it's just literally just been a case of either inexperienced, in more recent terms, or bad coaching to begin with, perhaps, and then just, I don't know, indecisive coaching, maybe, I'm not sure. But they're actually a very solid team, sort of Android level solid, I would say.
I wouldn't say Android, but they are definitely solid.
No,
I'd say
they are Android solid right now, because they're the same fucking win-loss record as the Androids, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, but look at this damage chain. Actually, let's have a look at that.
Let's look at the damage for a second.
I would say that you have amazing players in Jace and Raccoon. You have a really good player in Birder. You have...
I would say you've got an amazing player. I'd got to say you've got an amazing player in Jason Berta, and you've got okay, or you've got pretty good in Raccoon, you've got decent in Goldo, and you've got alright in Ginyu.
I would almost rate Goldo as alright. He's not the best character at all.
You say that? What makes you say that?
His melee is fairly atrocious. He has some moments, but his melee generally he's just not good at. He has to rely upon his B2s and his ultimate when he deigns to throw it out, which until very recently has been almost never. His B2, his problem with his B2s is that one is easy to hit with, but does low damage, which is the barrage. And then the rock throw can be countered by almost any B2 anywhere. So, his hit rate is actually pretty good given that. Now, and don't get me wrong, I'm not looking at his performance, because I agree that performance-wise, he's an average to good player. I think that as a base character, he is not that strong, which is even more impressive why he's doing decently.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too disappointed. Like, I'd not be happy about having Goldo on my team, but I wouldn't be too bothered. Right? There's like.
I agree. You can definitely work with him. Yes, I agree with you completely. You can definitely work with him. I think as a base character, though, his B2s are nothing spectacular. His melee game's pretty bad. So,
yeah, the kind of unsung hero of Ginyu is actually Raccoon.
Yes, he is. That man has the highest connection rate for B2s of anyone in the league. 94%. He has hit 15 of the 16 B2s he's thrown. Now, I have noticed this, especially when looking at the stats. A lot of the best connection rates are from people who have barrages, because it's really easy to hit with a barrage. You hit with even one of them and it counts as a hit. But Raccoon, I wouldn't quite put in that category. Like, for example, Vegeta is a good example of that. Vegeta's got the second highest, and because of his barrage. But while Vegeta's barrage will sometimes clip someone, I don't know what it is about Raccoon, but Raccoon will almost always fully hit with his B2s. His B2s, he's really good at firing them at the right time.
Raccoon's barrage B2 homes more than the Vegeta's one does.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right too. Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, and he is a bit of the unsung hero. However, he's definitely not the highest damaging. He's close though.
Second highest damaging.
But yeah, no, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Rebel, I wasn't suggesting, I completely agree with your assessment of the team in that they are a solid team, and with enough work and effort, I think they can be North Kai easy.
Mm-hmm.
With enough work and effort.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of teams that, you know, in maybe a season or two with enough application, North Kai, certainly a few positions in North Kai are going to be really fucking competitive. Like, scarily competitive. And East Kai, obviously, even more so.
And I'm hoping that we continue to see good things from the Ginyu Force. That would be I know they're in my division, but still, that would be an amazing comeback.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be really fun. And they're doing it. They're not in last place anymore. As it stands right now, they would be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Which, 3 weeks ago, no one would have thought that.
No, yeah. I guess we move on to the next match then.
Mm-hmm.
The one that everyone, of course, has been talking about: Super Saiyans versus Earth Defenders.
Wait, people were talking about that? Why?
Everyone.
Why?
Everyone.
It was kind of hard to talk, choked through upper tears.
You are still trying.
Yeah. The I'm still not upset at my team. Okay, so here's the thing: Super Saiyans are now 10-1. They are an absolutely phenomenal team, and I honestly did not expect this to be an easy fight by any means. I thought the Earth Defenders had a 50-50 shot at best. And I'm definitely not disappointed in the Earth Defenders much at all. Chaozu did amazing. Goku is just become a really, really solid character. And everyone else, Krillin didn't have much chance to do anything. And then, of course, Tien was Tien. Solid. I mean, Tien is actually he's the second highest damaging character in the team. He's just not impressive looking.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really good match. It was an incredibly close match. The only thing that is kind of a sting is that the Super Saiyans were just throwing on a bunch of test builds and they still beat us. That's what stung.
Yeah. We've as we qualified, we thought it was probably best just to start now.
Yeah, the Super Saiyans have completely clinched the bye week. There's no way they could lose the next 4 matches and it wouldn't matter. So yeah, now that stings a bit. This stings a bit too, especially because only one of those test builds did anything that you wanted it to, and you still beat us. That's sad.
I guess. Goku and Gohan didn't do well. Goku did nothing with his B1 apart from transform.
No, he did. He did. He just got killed before he could use it.
That's also true, actually. I forgot about that. And then Gohan just got almost crushed because he had Halo.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, look, test builds are not Halo, really.
Hey, he's good with Halo sometimes. We just need to remember what we did.
There was a time where he did phenomenally fucking well with Halo.
Really?
Yes.
That's right.
As in,
yeah.
No, I know.
80,000 points of damage in a single, in several minutes with Halo.
I know, but see, the problem with Halo, and I think this will probably be forever the case, is that they have just enough good weeks for people to consider it, but overall, they are never worth it. In 5 seasons.
Here's the thing. That depends, as far as I'm concerned, entirely on the play you put it on and the ability of the team and the coaches to figure out what the best accompanying Pataras for that player are. And I think that Halo is something that hasn't been tried enough for that to actually figure out, because, as you quite rightly point out, it is a big fucking risk. I think it is still worth that risk, but only if you have the understanding of your team. Like, if the Ginyu Force suddenly turned around and said, right, we are going to put Halo on Jace.
Right. Nice
idea in theory, don't do it. Seriously, not fucking worth it. Because the team isn't solid enough for that to be a thing. The thing you have to understand with Halo is there is so much more potential for that player to just take so much damage that they can't do anything anymore. And that is something that you have to have the team as a backup unit be able to deal with. Which pretty much means that the Super Saiyans possibly the cold of last season, I think. Those are the two teams that I imagine would probably benefit from Halo a lot and be able to deal with the fallout of that 10,000 health risk. Probably, yeah, certainly cold.
I would say
get the team together.
I would say maybe Namix, with the exception of the past few weeks.
Yeah, probably. Androids maybe with the health drain. Actually, thinking about it, has potential. But again, all of these things are a huge, huge risk, and they rely on a really deep understanding of your team.
Yeah, I will amend my statement. I will simply say that in 5 seasons, no one has gotten Halo to work reliably.
Yeah,
and a lot of people have tried. Not enough. I agree with you. It's not like every team has tried it. No, I mean, but anyone who has tried it has dropped it within a few weeks. Mm. So, but yeah. Overall, like I said, as much as I play like I'm sad, I'm not really that sad. It's the Super Saiyans. They're an incredibly difficult team, and we almost took them down. And my team performed quite admirably. So, I think that the Earth Defenders are now a major player in the league. They're someone to really be feared, which is a new sensation.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah, but no, I honestly like the idea that the Super Saiyans, the Earth Defenders, I could really, for the first time, see the Earth Defenders going really far in the playoffs with this team. So, I still lost, though. Sad.
Well, it's kind of a shame as well, because Margin won.
I know!
So... we didn't really want that to happen, to be fair.
It's all good, though.
Especially after Margin.
The next match.
I'm the one who announced the next match.
There's nothing...
I'm the one.
So, we've got Derp versus the Saiyans.
Actually, I think I'll find it Saiyans versus Derp.
Ooh,
squeeze.
HJK,
right.
I think you'll find I do things differently.
Yeah, wrong.
yeah,
wow.
Differently.
Brilliant. Saiyans versus Derp. Which Saiyans won?
The one notable thing about that match was before the match even started, one of the people who works with the Saiyans said that they actually got Nappa to work, and we were like, okay. We'll see. And Nappa did really well. So, 1 week is not, does not a good player make, but...
To start. I mean, from what I understand, the guy that posted the build, and probably the guy that said that in chat, although I wasn't there, is the one working with Nappa in the minor leagues. So,
yes,
probably has
correct.
A lot of information as to...
The Saiyans, like I said, they have the second highest tag out rate, so they definitely don't have problems there. They have really, really good characters. It's kind of shocking that they're doing so badly. They've got Scouter Vegeta, they've got Bardock. Turles, believe it or not, is a good character.
No, he is. He's very good.
Nappa and King Vegeta are their weak links, but I wouldn't really call them that weak of a link. You should be able to do good things with those characters.
Out of interest, I was on the verge of passing out when I was watching this match, so I don't remember.
It was that exciting, was it?
No. It probably was. I just wasn't in any condition to be taking note of that. How did Turles do in that match?
He did okay. Nothing substantial.
Yeah, he did a solid performance, but nothing that was like, he wasn't Roshi or anything.
It's interesting. The reason I ask is because his build is actually quite interesting. His build is high tension, indomitable fighting spirit, and power of rage. Power of rage is the least remarkable of all of those Pataras.
Right.
The build's quite an interesting concept. One that I think may have been tried when we had 5-point builds and failed horribly for obvious reasons.
Is it 7 points? Because it's actually 7 points worth of Patara points, and there was only 5.
No, it isn't. High tension and multiple fighting spirit at 5 points, HJK.
Now,
No,
refresh my memory. What's Indomitable Fighting Spirit?
Indomitable fighting spirit is the... Actually, no. No,
we didn't
sorry,
have
taking it back.
Indomitable Fighting Spirit. We
Taking
had
it
5
back.
points.
I was thinking of a completely different Patara, which would have made that build... How many points would that have been? That probably would have been either 6 or 7. Has it been 6 or 7?
Come to the Zcast for expert advice.
I haven't slept in going on 40 hours. Leave me alone.
Hey, you know what? Come to the Zcast because we're probably still the best you're gonna get. I think we have more knowledge of collectively. We probably have more knowledge of the Pataras than almost anyone else, and we still can't keep track of them all.
Yeah, there are too many Pataras. Leave me alone. Actually, that's now an even more interesting build. Come to think of it.
It's clearly just a kind of passive energy build, isn't it?
Yeah.
He didn't do bad. He there was actually no real standout performance.
That's what I wanted to mention.
Brilliant.
I've been going this entire Zika. Sorry, the reason I was really quiet in the last one was because I was trying to think of what it was I was forgetting. That's what it was. Looking at high tension reminded me. High tension.
Oh, here we go.
No, seriously. I've even got like infos about it and stuff. Sort of. Got a question for you guys.
Hit me.
Give me an estimate of how much energy you think high tension gives you. Like, how quickly do you reckon? Let's see if we can all estimate this. How much energy do you reckon that high tension gives you? How long do you reckon it takes?
No, refresh my memory. It doesn't increase your charge rate. It just increases your passive charge rate.
It
right?
increases your passive charge rate. How much energy do you reckon? Let me rephrase that. How long do you reckon it'll take you to get a bar?
15 seconds? 10 seconds?
30 seconds? I don't think it's
I am going to bit slap you both and say that it's a minute, and I reckon closer to 2 minutes to gain a full bar of energy. From what I just passively.
Really?
So no charging, no nothing. Yeah, high tension on a non-Android character.
Yeah.
Now do you understand why I don't like it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've never thought it was worth it on anything but an Android, and with an Android, it should never be by itself.
No.
I'm with you.
That's why I don't like it. Like here's the thing: when you charge, the fact that you're getting a tiny bit of passive regeneration on the top makes it look a little bit quicker. Launcher support is actually far better for boosting charge rate. High tension is only ever going to be useful for a non-Android character in a seriously protracted melee engagement. Even then, just wasting 3 points. Seriously,
just put active heart on them. Yeah.
Well, even that. Just
we've got Indomitable Fighting Spirit now, which is better than Active Heart.
Well, no, because we found out. Well, we found out that Active Heart works differently than we thought.
Oh, right.
We thought it was Active Heart increases, when you dodge or something like that. It actually, the more melee damage you do, the more energy you get from Active Heart. So, in a protracted melee battle, Active Heart would be far more useful than High Tension.
Yeah, but what I said was, Indomitable. You've got Indomitable Fighting Spirit, which is just a better.
Isn't that like a stronger version of Active Heart?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
So they've got that as well, but Active Heart or Indomitable Fighting Spirit gives you, for those people that do serious melee engagements, do a much better job of pretty much anything. I mean, High Tension is pretty much useless with those petards in existence. High Tension is basically worthless for a non-Android.
I don't want to know what Tension Up does. Jesus.
I haven't bothered to go and look at it, to be honest with you.
That's fair enough.
It just doesn't. It doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah, it is really, really good on Androids when paired with other things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But on any non-Android, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You would have to put whatever that is that turns someone into an Android. You would have to put that on them, and then it might be viable.
That's
but at
7
that
points.
point, yeah, I was
that's
going to say
at least that's what I was thinking of. That's 7, maybe 6 points, depending on which one you use, and that I think will slow your charge rate to a point where it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, the only thing that would be interesting, and I was going to say, for most people, that's not worth it. There are a few who it might be worth to do something like that, like Fasha, who really, let's face it, you don't care much about her B2s because that's because she wrecks space with her
energy wave is really good, and she's done a lot of damage.
I'm with you. I'm with you, which is why I'm saying maybe. Right, I'm with you that she does use her B2s really well, but she's one of the few characters who you probably could put that build on, and it might not do too badly.
Maybe.
But it would be far between, and require an enormous amount of testing.
Yeah, I don't think it. To be honest with you, just like thinking about it in theory, I don't actually think it would work.
I don't either.
I think what you'd be doing,
like practically, I
think you'd be relying on just how good the character is just to begin with, rather than how well the build was performing.
Yeah, I was thinking theoretically, practically, I don't think it works.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Derp though.
Oh, derp.
Derp is now as bad as cold.
They were 10-5 last season. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're Resky now.
Yeah, that is actually
Shows
scary.
how good they were doing.
Yeah, yeah, poor Derp. Honestly, I don't know. The thing is, I know Team Derp is a weak team. On the average, Hercule obviously will never be considered an average base player, period. Mm-hmm. Salza he's an okay character. Well, see, that's the weird thing. I know Herc is a huge crutch. Dodoria, Salza, Supreme Kai are averagely good characters, and Android 19 can be a great character.
Yeah.
So I still think the potential is up there for them to be a good contending team.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not doing it this season.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Hercule, a lot of Hercule's ability, like Hercule's dynamic mess 'em up punch is just too random to be considered a good B2. Everything else, like the only other problem you actually have with Hercule, actually no, there's two problems. First problem is his punches don't stun properly, or don't stun at all, and the second is he stuns too easily when punched and when hit by Rush Blast. Now, punches can't do anything about because Power Body doesn't exist anymore. Rush Blast you can do something about, make him vaguely, you can make him a normal character. Here you go. Two Pataras you put on Hercule to make him a normal character. You put Light Body and, Draconic Aura. Those two Pataras make him as close to a normal character as you will get without having Power Body in the equation.
Right.
So you would either have Ultimate Body, which does both. Actually, no, I'd rather have Light Body and Power. No, I wouldn't, because they end up doing the same thing. Sorry, I'm working out the numbers. Yeah, they would do the same thing. So you would have, in order to make Hercule have the base of a normal character, you would have to have Ultimate Body, Defense +1, and Draconic Aura, or whatever the good equivalent of that one
Which
is.
you don't. That's not even enough points.
You don't have enough points to do that. So that would make Hercule into a basic standard character, pretty much, albeit one with a phenomenal charge rate. So there are ways of getting Hercule. You could actually technically get Hercule to do a melee game with that. In order, if you put Draconic Aura on Hercule, you could actually get him to do a melee game. It would actually be possible. That's interesting. This is another question for you guys. Why do people not use Draconic Aura? Explain.
I don't know.
HJK, explain.
Know.
Here's the thing. Let me maybe people don't properly understand. Okay. Draconic Aura says that it gives you, for 3 points, an increase in ability to stun your opponents. Okay? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean stuff like Psychokinesis and, those stun B1s. That means Rush Blasts. Actually, wait, does it? Let me check. I'm pretty sure there's wording to it. Let me check the wording.
No, it's Rush Blast.
What does it say?
I don't know what it says, I just know it's Rush Blast.
HJK, just trust me on this.
No, I'm pretty sure it does Rush Blasts as well. Let me check. Increased power to stun opponent, yeah. So, Rush Blasts, okay, and stunning doesn't necessarily mean when you hit them with a charged Ki Blast, and they sort of go into that shaking stunned mode. Doesn't mean that either. It does. It does mean that, but in addition to basic Rush Blasts, basic punches. So, you guys look at an awful lot of melee fights, right?
Yep.
You will see the first punch, or maybe a punch during the combo, the opponent doesn't flinch. Yeah? You see it a lot up against, say, Broly or Android 13 or Bojack. Even the base forms of those guys. You will get that an awful lot. You see it pretty much constantly against Great Apes. Whenever you punch a Great Ape, the Great Ape may just stand there, and not do anything because it didn't have the time to actually do anything against it, but it will not be flinched. It will not, like, bend over as if in pain. So it doesn't get flinched by the punch. Same goes for a Ki Blast. A lot of the time, you will see, especially people with light body, that's why you put light body on, but even without light body, a Rush Blast will hit them, they won't flinch. So they will continue doing whatever B1 or move they're currently doing. Right? That is what Draconic Aura counters. There is one way to counter light body. That is Draconic Aura. There is one way to get it so that you are almost guaranteed to stun an opponent in melee combat. It's not 100% guaranteed. Right? If you go up against like Legendary Super Saiyan Broly or a Great Ape, it will improve your chances to stun them. I'm pretty sure that in the code of the game, every character has a base value of their brick wall or power level. I think power level is a better way of putting it. And what that basically does is that power level says, this is what this person can resist, and this is what this person dishes out. So, some characters you will see... again, compare Hercule and Broly. Hercule hits you, you do not give a fuck, because his power level is basically zilch. Broly smacks you, you know about it, because Broly's power level, if you want to put it that way, is much, much higher. The opposite applies. You punch Hercule, he will flinch. Right. You punch Broly, he might not give a fuck. That's really, really important. Draconic Aura makes that...
Even if you flinch him, he's still not going to give a fuck.
Probably. It's probably just going to get a bit knocked at you. But, I've seen a lot of melee builds this season. I've been mostly keeping quiet about it, because I was hoping someone would figure it out. I think someone has, actually. I can't remember who I was talking to, private message. I think it was Dragon Ball Warriors. Probably was, actually. Yeah,
I think the general opinion of Draconic Aura is that it's only really useful in negating stuff like Power Body and Ultimate Body.
Yeah, like I think I probably said this in the staff forum when we were debating getting rid of Power Body and Ultimate Body. Is that they were the counter, or that was the counter to those Pataras, and as soon as they went away, people suddenly said, alright, it's completely useless then, without actually taking into account why it was useful in the first place, and watching what matches, like what happens during matches. Because it's not, like if you just take the match at face value in a melee fight at face value, of, you know, a trading of blows, counters, and this, that, and the other, you don't notice. If you actually sit down and look closely, watch carefully, and like take into account what's actually happening, and just look at the character models and what they're doing during a fight, it's amazing how many melee and ranged engagements are actually decided by what do you get stunned by, what do you get flinched by, what affects you, what doesn't affect you. You know, what does the RNG decide, like, within a certain percent, because what it'll be is it'll be a certain percentage chance. And Light Body will improve that percentage chance against Rush Blasts. Draconic Aura is just a global increase, as far as we're aware, to just stunning your opponent, flinching them. And I am, as I'm pretty sure I said to Vindicated, I am shocked and slightly horrified and a bit confused as to why it's not used more often, especially for like characters like Fasha, maybe Broly, maybe Tambourine. You know, even like characters that are on the Dragon Ball Warriors and those slightly weaker teams, like why that isn't used to just give you that little edge in combat that I would actually say, to be honest, would be worth 3 points.
Yeah. I honestly, and I think I'm also kind of a victim of this as well, I just look at the 3 points and think, man, maybe it's not worth it. But, you know, I think a lot of people are doing that without actually testing to see, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. I mean, it is kind of the points aspect that's not really...
Yeah, I think it's partly, like, it's the points aspect combined with there's no flashy blue text underneath. I think that's partly what it is.
Well, also, you don't need it to win a melee fight.
I know, you don't need it, but I would be interested to know what would be, like, how much would you, how many more melee fights would you win if you had that compared to what you would otherwise win?
Yeah, if someone put a test on where they do their normal melee build and then the same thing with Draconic Aura, who would perform better?
Yeah, And I would be willing to put money on the Draconic Aura playing. Like, if you ran the simulation onto, like a reasonable number of times, like the Draconic Aura character would actually win out. Not all the time. Don't get me wrong, not all the time, but probably the vast majority
enough to be worth
of it.
the 3 points.
Yeah, agreed.
Because 3 points, I mean, on a 7-point build, 3 points, you can work that in. There is enough on that build that you can probably shave off to do a Draconic Aura and still keep the main build intact.
Yeah, I mean, people do Eternal Life.
Yeah.
That's not always particularly useful,
Or Dende's Healing, even better, yeah.
No, absolutely.
I agree. And with that, we should probably move on to the divisional rankings.
No. Okay, yes. Oh, by the way, I just finished my chicken sandwich. Just want everyone to know.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Just finished
Yep.
it.
Fuck.
It's been an hour and 15 minutes.
I've been talking.
Well, what? Where are your manners? Talk with your mouth full, Jesus.
It did get a little stale.
Oh dear. North Kai. We've got the Super Saiyans at 10 and 1, qualified as of last week for the bye week, of course. Boo and Gohan, so 4 and 7, still tied for second place, I guess. And Cold last at 3 and 8. In Isekai, you've got Blaze at 6 and 5, with Namek and Androids tied at 5 and 6, with Derp at 3 and 8 at last place. West Kai, Dragon Ball Warriors are on top, with Valkyries with the same win-loss record, but Dragon Ball Warriors have beaten the Valkyries, so they're on top. Muscle are in third place at 6 and 5, while Saiyans are last at 4 and 7. And finally, in South Kai, Margins are top at 8 and 3, Earth's Defenders are at 6 and 5, and Ginyu and Rugrats are tied at 5 and 6, with Ginyu not being in the last place, because of course they beat the Rugrats in week 10. Did I do it right? Is it right?
I think so.
Be interested to know which of the Boo and Gohans are technically in second. Not that it matters, I'm just curious.
I think it's Boo. It should be Boo.
Probably. I probably looked this up before.
Gohans.
I probably looked this up before. I'm going to assume it's Boo.
I think I checked when I updated it and it was Boo. Because I'm that...
Wait, you actually know how to check things? I'm horrified.
That's right. That is right.
I think he's just faking it.
Yeah, probably.
He's just very convincing.
I don't appreciate that.
I don't know if he's very convincing.
Again, not appreciating this.
Good.
I don't know if we care.
Wow.
Hang on, let me check. Rebel, do you care?
Not really.
Yeah, HJK, I'm afraid that's going to be a no.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Pleasure.
Okay then, and now we should probably go to the Zcast questions from the viewers. The first question is by Gray on March 26, 2014, 12:24 AM. He asks, I was wondering if, at the end of the season, or after the bowl, there would be awards or such, presented to teams or characters with exemplary stats, like teams with the highest net hit rate, or the character with the highest average damage, etc.
You can probably mention it.
Sure, we could, but here's the thing. I think it would be fun to mention. I don't think we should give official awards because I know what will happen is that people will start wanting to put it on their banners, and banners are getting cluttered enough as it is.
To be honest with you, I don't give a fuck what you do with your banners now. I've just kneecapped you all.
Well, no, but I mean, from an aesthetic point of view,
yeah.
If you've already got South Kai champion and this league
agreed,
champion, you also don't want each member highest hit rate. You know?
Yeah. No. Also,
No.
you have to consider that you want to put those on banners and stuff. Someone has to make them.
Right.
And
So,
making
no,
something
I
for
think-
individual that we'll mention it. I think we'll certainly mention it. We might even put up like a record post maybe on the stats thread, at the end of the season, where we have like season or league records or something like that. That might be something that we could do at the end of the season. We go over the stats and we do that, especially if they're going to be a consistent thing. But actually having like banner things or icons that get made to do them, I think that's pretty unlikely.
I may make
Right.
a picture or something for some, but the banner problem. I can see why that.
But yeah, I mean, I can see us, but definitely maybe making an announcement. You know what? It might be something we do during the Tenkaichi Bowl or something.
Yeah, could.
But yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, look at that. Decisions are made right here on the Zcast. This is up-to-date stuff. Anyway, next question. Azar for Timelines asks, today at 1:28 p.m. The first question. When looking at the league, you can see a very distinct difference in tagging ratio. Boo's only having 3, DB4 is 26. Is this luck, or do you think that certain AIs are better at tagging than others?
It's probably luck.
I don't think it's
so.
luck per se.
Okay,
I don't think
more
that,
not AIs. It's actually probably more players.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. AIs doesn't change everything about your character. It just changes how they approach the fight. Your character still has base stats, and I would not be surprised to find that there is an actual number stat somewhere of chance of tagging out.
Probably. Either that, or some teams are just really fucking unlucky with the RNG.
Yeah.
Either that, or Squeeze rigged his emulator. One way or another.
Yep, that's what I did. I got spiders in it. No, because here's the thing. I'm fairly certain it's not just luck, because 3 tag outs for the whole season is
it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's AIs, because Dragon Ball Warriors have changed their AIs throughout the season, and it hasn't really seemed to affect their tag out rate that much.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it has.
I think there's probably a hard-coded number in there that says, when I'm at this much health, there's a percentage I will tag out.
Yeah, it also depends, on what happens when you get to low health. That number has a certain percentage chance to kick in, but what's happening to the player at that time? Right. Is that player getting absolutely fucking smashed? Then I just don't going to get the chance to. So the actual time for that tag out to kick in is far, far less.
Yep. Agreed.
Question 2. For those of you that follow Naruto League, which one do you think has the most strategy behind them? I assume he means DBZ League or Naruto League.
Certainly Dragon Ball Z League. Hands down. Yeah, it's not a question. I love Naruto League, and I think that there is strategy involved in Naruto League, but Naruto League doesn't have a Patara system, doesn't have an AI system, doesn't have anywhere near the amount of customization options for teams. Yeah, so it's not a knock on Naruto League. It's just the way the games are set up. It's undeniable that Dragon Ball Z League has more options and therefore more tactics and strategy.
I think modern fighting games, kind of push strategy to the side. I mean, the modern DBZ games have about as little strategy as the modern Naruto games. From what I'm,
it's probably a product of the time of game design, to be honest with you.
Yeah. That makes sense. The third question. Since we're nearing the end of the main season, I guess I'll have to mention the blonde elephant in the room. Super Saiyans. OP, UP, No P, Boiled Peas, Global Peace, or Public Peace?
Public Peace. So it's very humiliating.
I'm thinking Global Peace.
No, don't be such a fucking wimp.
Wow. But Public Peace is fine, though.
I'm thinking Cashmere Fleece.
He's going completely off the beaten track now. Jeez.
That's right.
How long did it take you to come up with
his
that
own way?
He
read the question when it was posted.
I will say this, that it's not really something we should talk about in the middle of a season. If the staff does talk about it, and if we decide they are or are not OP, that question is a moot point until after the season is over, because we would not. I don't care if they went 15-0. We would not nerf them in the middle of a season.
No,
it just wouldn't happen. Because the truth of the matter is, no matter how much you holler or scream, a large portion of the Super Saiyan success rate has been the hard work and dedication their teammates have put into it, Absolutely. And we're not going to take that away from them in the middle of a season.
Also, there's something you need to consider, is that regardless of whether or not they are OP and whether or not we decide that to be the case, or whether or not we decide that changes need to be made, it's not something that the process is not public, one way or another. And the process is also something that we put for any team and for any consideration. There's a lot of debate behind it, and certainly when it comes to actually going to nerf a team, there is a lot of testing that needs to be done, and actual careful thought put into what the effects of the nerf are actually going to be, and what we think is likely to be a fair nerf. Because we can take players away from teams. That's something we can do. But calculating the effects of something like that are really, really difficult. So, as I said, the process.
I think with the Super Saiyans as well, it's even more complicated than any other team
Probably.
we've had to nerf so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's why.
especially, I mean, you look at them. It's not like any player is just obviously overpowered.
No, they haven't got a
Some
player
of
that's
them
getting
may-
constantly elite status.
Right.
It's not.
I mean,
elite,
I don't
yeah.
think I don't think you don't. They don't even have a top 10 player. Their highest ranked player is 16th.
Yeah.
So it's not like Muscle where there's Omega Shenron and you're like, dude, that's got.
Yeah, Mega Shenron and Android 13 both probably top of the league. It's like, well, hang on a second, there's something wrong here.
Yeah. So it's not an easy task, even if we were to say try and find a way to nerf them. So the answer to your question is no comment at this time.
Yeah, fuck off, mind your own business.
No.
Well, that was my answer. I don't know what your problem with it is.
The fourth question, and final one from Hazapa Timelines, is: when looking at the league, the part which I enjoy most are the mind games played between the teams. When you were/are participating in customization, which aspect did you enjoy the most out of them?
Honestly, I think I enjoyed the most concept development. In other words, looking at my team, looking at what their strengths and weaknesses are, and just making builds and seeing if they work.
Yeah, I
I
think so.
love that. I love the whole process of that.
I think
It makes me feel creative.
I quite like personally, especially now that I'm not involved in any one team. I contract out, as it were, or just like look at things and try and figure out arguments for why people are doing badly or why I think they shouldn't be doing what it is they're doing. For me, it's really interesting, like sitting down and thinking, okay, what would I do in this position? What do I think this player is actually capable of, and actually keeping myself up to date and thinking, like, because I don't tend to do a huge amount of testing anymore. It's mostly just theory work, and it's quite interesting a lot of the time to see if that theory pays off or not.
Probably the aspect I enjoy most is winning. More specifically,
I love that whimper. That was brilliant.
More specifically, seeing a build you've made do well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best part for me, because that makes me feel clever. By the way, I did not just cut Rebel out. That was,
Rebel had only good things to say.
As always.
but for time purposes, we couldn't include them. The next question by Burnerator. Today at 1:37 p.m. He has two questions. Deal with it.
It's not a question.
Number one, in your opinion, if you guys were in charge of the Earth Defenders at the end of Season 5, would you drop any characters? And then there's more parts of this question, but let's answer.
I am in charge. No. You only think no. Me personally, no, probably not. See, it's a hard question for me to answer because I firmly believe that I believe in team cohesion. In other words, even if there was a better option out there, I would be hesitant to pick it because I'd like who the Earth Defenders are.
Yeah, I think
If you were to say we will give you in Vegeta right now, I'd be like,
and was earlier on before we started. Right, here's the thing. There is the point that Squee brings up, which is team cohesion, the way all of that works, and in terms of just liking the team for who they are at the minute, that's also a thing. From the point purely of a building and mechanics and technical standpoint, you have to be really, really careful with replacing players. You replace a player, you are then taking on someone who has missed, at the very least, a full season of testing and information. You're working off information that is no longer actually relevant in almost any respect. Like, you take builds from last season, there is a very, very slim chance that they will actually be successful this season. So, you're working off information that just probably isn't relevant anymore. and you're having to start from scratch with potentially a completely new player. No matter how well you understand their moveset and their build style, if you hit on a build that works for them, you are being accommodated, depending on how much effort you put into it, you're probably being incredibly lucky because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You the player would have to be really bad for you to consider changing them, because basically, because of what Rebel said, the incoming player would have to be better with no information than the player you're replacing with all that season of testing. And it's happened sometimes.
Oh, no, absolutely. It has happened. But quite frankly, looking at the Earth Defenders right now, I don't think you're going to get that. I honestly don't think that's going to be a thing.
I mean, who honestly would we change out? Everyone on our team is solid, at least solid.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what your
even
options are, you probably get, I think the only person free right now that you could pick up is probably early Goku, I think. And then you're looking at a bunch of experimentality. You've got to then look at, okay, what are we trying to get out of him? Are we trying to get him to KO Ken? Are we trying to get him to Spirit Bomb? Are we trying to get him to do melee? What are we trying to get him to do? And then figure out, pretty much from scratch, where do we go? Where do we start? What point of that do we think is the most likely to work? Whereas with Chaozu, you already have a season of testing that isn't completely out of date and has, you've got some relevant information to work with.
So you wouldn't drop any characters?
Personally, no, I don't think so.
Not me, no.
Okay. So the next part of question 1 is, would you guys look at Mid-Goku's base form, even though he's proven to do really well in his Super Saiyan form?
Same problem as with dropping a player. It's basically the same thing.
Well, it's even worse for me. I had several seasons of base Goku. And there's a reason why he went Super Saiyan and never looked back.
And also,
I'm not suggesting that we couldn't find a way to make him work, but that past experience shows that would be a more complicated task than a fresh player.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea, but again, you still run into the same testing problem, you still run into the same replacing problem, and you still run into the fact that you've been working with Goku. You've got him working quite a lot of the time. You've got him to be occasionally one of the
best player on the team.
Yeah, and you've occasionally got him to be among the most damaging players in an entire week. That completely turns a match on its head. I'm pretty sure that match against Ginyu was one of them. So
that match against Super Saiyans was nearly one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it might be something that you would want to look at. I would never discount it as something that you wouldn't want to look at, but it would be something. Excuse me, I'm just gonna choke myself to death.
Someone's just strangling Rebel.
Very nice.
Yeah, my own throat's strangling me. My apologies.
A bit awkward.
It would be something that you would seriously need to look at, and even no matter how well he did in testing, you would need some serious fucking evidence to go for it.
Yep.
I
would just hesitate of why in the world would you want to do that kind of thing to the top ranked character on your team?
I
he's the one that's working.
Yeah.
The testing is always nice. Evolving is always great. You don't want to get stale. But there's also a thing called if it's not broke.
There's the argument you can make that there are more damaging moves in its base form.
True. Well, that's what the off season's for. There's nothing stopping people in the off season from testing it. Look, I know Goku's our top performing character, but hell, let's test it. Maybe it'll blow us away. So yeah, but so I would test it in the off season. Would I just switch it? Not a chance.
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. The second question from Burner Rater is: are you guys looking at any major changes this for season 6?
No.
And then I don't know why, but then he puts cough, nerf the Earth Defenders cough.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
true. The Earth Defenders are really.
we were just talking about Mid Goku. I think we really need to get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean the Earth
completely.
Defenders are pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking we should replace them all with just clones of Bobbity.
I'm thinking we just have them as one player. On
yeah, you just have Chaozu.
That's it. Yeah, I'm thinking that's fair.
And the only move you can use is a suicide
really,
move.
Here's the problem, though. Is that really going to change anything?
They're still 15-0.
Like his self-destruct, he just self-destructs everyone.
Yeah, that would be fucking hilarious. It fucking does a Majin Vegeta on them. regarding major changes for the league for season 6, fuck off.
No comment. That's what that means, by the way?
Yeah, basically. Any changes for season 6, if there are any, we will discuss among the staff. Anything that we feel that you guys need to know and that we feel that we're okay announcing that is likely to go ahead, we will announce. Anything that isn't going to be given the light of day. So
I will tell you guys this at least. We're into our 5th season now. We've been doing this a long time, and we've pretty much got the league running smooth. There's really no need for drastic major changes. There just isn't. It's not like the league's getting stale or
no, absolutely no.
And to quote Rebel and HJK, even if the league was getting stale, the first question you'd have to answer is are you refreshing things, or are you prolonging the inevitable kind of thing? So we got the league pretty much where we want it. So while I can't say anything because again everything's behind closed doors, I wouldn't expect drastic changes. Like no all new teams or anything weird like that, or 13-point builds now. No.
We missed a golden opportunity with April Fools.
Damn it!
Posted
Yeah.
whole
That's
new
a good
rosters.
Fuck.
Damn it!
What I mean to say is,
Yeah, I agree. When major changes you'll hear about, but you shouldn't expect them. Basically,
No, I think that. Here's the thing about major changes, right? In order for a major change to go through, let me just give you a concept of the process, okay?
Oh God.
Someone has to think up an idea and then present it to the staff. That's the most basic way of going through this, right? And then they get hammered, especially by me, quite heavily, if they haven't thought the idea through properly and they can't argue it properly and they can't explain it.
I just want to butt in here quickly. This happens when Rebel posts his own post. He always just comments on it after.
it's true.
He seems to
It's
just
true. He will
reply to
post
himself.
it, and the first response will be him telling himself how much of an idiot he is. Because he's that thorough.
That is actually a slightly horrific insight into how my mind works.
Wow.
That's actually
Rebel's like,
scary.
I almost don't disagree with it.
No, I genuinely do not disagree with that. That's quite disturbing. But yeah, so it has to, people have come up with ideas, and they haven't come through. For one reason or another, they don't go through. The ideas, especially, like we said, we've figured out an awful lot of things. We've got the league to a place where we are pretty happy with it, where things are pretty varied, where, there's a lot of changes. It's not like you guys are just putting out the same builds again and again and again. There's a lot of counterplay going on. And that in and of itself extends things by quite a lot. So, yeah. It's pretty difficult for a change to go through, especially these days.
It is. And we have to find the virgins to sacrifice. That in and of itself is...
Rebel's almost run out.
Do you guys have any idea how many Greek maidens we sacrificed to volcano gods just to get 7-point builds? Seriously? You guys are thankless.
They're not appreciative. It's kind of sick.
Do you realise how restrained I had to be? It's absolutely ridiculous.
We had to promise HJK's firstborn. Whenever he has a kid, it's gone now.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like that. Well, it's not going to be pretty. Say that much at least.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's not go any further. Can we go somewhere else now?
I think we should.
I think we definitely should.
Yes, alright.
Gamer Joker 27 asks the final couple of questions today at 2:39 p.m. The first one was he says he's going to expand on Bonerator's first question. Looking at all the teams, are there really any problem children that either need drastic changes or should be off a team next season?
Don't fucking replace your bloody players! Seriously, just stick with them just stick with the same team for a season, please.
Yeah, I honestly, I firmly believe that, and this is every single team, unless you find a new player that is completely outperforming everything about your regular players on a consistent basis, do not switch your team.
Yeah, seriously, this is the same thing for Burnrage's question of should we replace a player in the Earth Defender? Should we be considering this form? No, probably not. Because unless you have absolutely compelling evidence that that player or that form is completely better, you are fucking yourself over. Absolutely fucking yourself over, because you don't have the background information on that. Even if you have that player in Season 4 and you decide to put them into Season 6, you don't have Season 5. Season 4 is nearly irrelevant now. Let alone when it comes to Season 6 after, the rest of the weeks, the Tenkai, the playoffs, the Tenkaichi Bowl, and however long we have as a break. The information from Season 4 is going to be pretty much irrelevant. Anything further back from there, it's fucking worthless, pretty much. You say, well, we tried this AI back on, at the beginning of Season 3, so it might actually work now. With a different build, or it might just work in and of itself. It's a really bad idea. Don't do it. There are probably problem children that need drastic changes. They need build changes, but no players.
I would say changing forms is not quite as bad, because while some people are completely different when they're transformed, a lot of them are at least the same principles, the same basics. But even that, yeah. I'm all for, if your team has transformations or whatnot, testing around, playing around with those in the off season or whatnot, that's fine, because like I said, the basics still apply. But you still should put that through the exact same filter. Is this form really worth all the testing I have done in this other form?
Yeah.
Cell's a decent example. Cell in his second form, I think, has been really good. But it was a huge risk. I've never played around with second Cell form. And second Cell form, it always stuck around for all of, 30 seconds before transforming again?
Yeah.
That's true.
So, yes, I think that changing players on your team would be an incredibly bad idea unless you have tested him immensely.
Yeah. They're definitely still problem children, that's true.
I know they're problem children, but they're not problem children to the point where
They need to be gone.
get rid of them. Yeah, even Nappa, to be honest with you.
Even Chi-Chi, really.
Even Cell Jr. God, Rugrats, what the fuck?
To be fair, the Rugrats are a team that has changed at least one character every season.
I know.
Gamer Junkie. Dear, what are we going to do? Anyway, second question, and the final question is, in your opinion, is there a maximum amount of time someone can be a coach before they pass it on?
Depends on the person.
No, in my opinion.
In terms of rules, no. But it depends on how good a coach they are. They can either drop it, so pass it on to someone else, or we can boot them out of being a coach. The latter requires them to be absolutely awful and terrible people. Pretty much. The former is
or not awful and terrible people. The more common case is they just don't have the time anymore.
Yeah, they don't have the time, they lose interest or whatever. Which, at that point, then they should just pass it on anyway.
Right.
That is literally, that is the only reason someone should not be a coach. Is if they just don't have the time, don't have the inclination, don't have the energy, don't have the interest or whatever. They just don't want to do it anymore. They should literally just pass it on. Because it doesn't stop you being a supporter of the team. It just stops you having, that final decision and that final input.
Yeah. You can be a coach for however long you like.
Yeah, and like what Rebel said, is that I'm no longer the coach of the Earth Defenders, but I would say that my input on the team has been not reduced at all. Honestly, here's how this goes. Coach, not coach. What matters is how good are your ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
If your ideas are good, you will have influence, period.
Yeah.
You know what? Even if your ideas aren't bad, you'll have influence by voting on other people's ideas. So,
some people just don't give ideas; they just work on other people's ideas.
We don't like giving a permanent a deadline for how long you can be a coach.
No,
because if nothing else, it really can take many seasons to truly figure out your team. There's so much you can do that it takes that long. Look, it's season 5, and there's still things about the Earth Defenders I don't quite get.
Yeah.
So saying you can only be a coach for 2 seasons is basically cutting them off at the knees when they've just barely started to get the hang of it.
Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking. So it comes back to Hazard's point about the difference between like Dragon Ball Z League and Naruto League's strategies. Was something I saw about Naruto League. There was a decision that I looked at. I don't participate in Naruto League. I have no idea. I monitor. I make sure people, for the most part, are being vaguely polite to each other, and if they're not, then I will say something. But, I think the Naruto League had, like, you can be a coach for a season. I don't know what the actual rule is, I don't know if it's changed, but, like, initially it was, like, you can be a coach for a season, and then you have to pass it on to someone else.
Something like that, yeah.
Back to being a fan. I looked at that and went, no, don't do that. No, I don't understand. So, yeah, There isn't a maximum amount of time, and I think, the concept of having a maximum amount of time is, I don't know, I don't like it.
It would work better for Naruto League. And again, I'm not going to tell them what to do or not to do. It would work better for Naruto League because of what you said. It is simpler to get the hang of.
Yeah.
The only thing in Naruto League you really have to worry about is rotations.
Mm-hmm.
Rotations and what support types.
Right.
That's it. And I'm not saying that that's not deep enough, but it's definitely not 7 points with 100 different custom abilities and 16 different AIs that all work different for different characters.
Yeah.
So, big difference there.
Agreed.
Okay then, I guess before we go to the not divisional rankings, the predictions next week, I'll quickly mention the DBZ Fantasy League.
You back at the top again?
Sorry?
You back at the top again?
No, unfortunately there's not much news to report for the Dragon Ball Z Fantasy League champions. Still tied at 5th. I guess I'll mention the other teams. Kami Family is top, with Team 5-Star and Rivals in Time at 2nd and 3rd, respectively. Oh, and Team Famous in 3rd. Whatever. Then Dragon Ball Z Fantasy League champions in 5th.
Headcanon's amazing.
That's right. Remember, of course, to get your teams in on time. I believe it is the Friday, 12 p.m. I have to double check that though. Just remember to get your teams in soon.
Read the fucking post.
That's it. Do that. Now, next week's matches, week 12. The first match is Earth Defenders versus Cold.
Earth Defenders.
Earth Defenders.
Earth Defenders. The
Hooray.
second match, Blades versus Saints.
Blades.
Blades.
The third match, Ginyu Force versus Super Saiyans.
Super Saiyans.
Ooh, poor Ginyu Force. Yeah, Super Saiyans.
Super Saiyan.
I see a pattern.
This should change it. Valkyries versus Muscle.
Valkyries.
Valkyries.
Muscle.
You're
You
just saying
just
that
did
to
that on
be different.
purpose, didn't you? Yeah.
Whatever.
You
keep telling yourself that.
Okay,
Dragon
I
Ball
will.
Warriors versus Gohans.
Dragon Ball Warriors.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Warriors.
I will say Gohans. Rugrats
Ooh.
versus Namek.
Namek.
I would say, yeah, Namek.
You two are just...
Well, it is a tough one.
Well, it is Squee's fault. He's agreeing with me. I'm saying first. So.
It's Rebel's fault for being psychic.
I will say Namek as well. Margins versus Androids.
Margins.
Androids.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm actually going to go androids.
Hell yeah. Got this
Squee is still a copycat.
Come to the dark side.
Oh,
Shut
no,
up.
no original thought of your own. What's wrong with you?
I made the league!
Next match. Boo versus Dub.
Ooh, Boo.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah, Boo.
yeah. I'm going to say...
I'm going to say Boo because they're going to have Kid Boo.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
going to say
too.
Derp because they have Android 19. But honestly, the fact that this could go either way is odd.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Derp.
I'm going to say Boo because I think Boo just is there.
Not a copycat.
Look, he's so happy.
I know.
So you admit you were being a copycat before?
Oh, yeah. No.
And that is it for the Zcast this
No,
week.
no,
What
it
posts-
Yeah, what about match 9?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
HJK versus...
HJK
We're actually
versus
throwing
the
him in
Horde.
there.
What moves would I have?
We're throwing HJK into Salty Bet and seeing what happens.
You have a rock, and
I
you're
have-
not allowed to throw it.
Rock throw is pretty
No,
good.
you're not allowed to throw it.
Oh.
You're getting it. Basically, what we're doing is we're giving you a pebble, and yeah, you're not allowed to throw it.
No, we're giving him a giant rock and he just has to fight while holding it.
Oh, awesome!
Okay.
I really want to see this now.
Do I get any transformations? Or...
Nope. Actually, no.
Yes, into unconscious state. Takes 6 bars.
Yeah,
Well, that
and
sounds
your
like fun. Be sure to tune into that.
your
in
B1,
the
your
next
B1 is
week.
play dead.
Sorry?
It never
No,
works.
his B1 is to transform right into unconscious state.
Yeah, they're still carrying on with this joke, by the way, guys. I'm I'm way beyond it. What was
It's
I
because he
saying?
doesn't understand.
You've made me lose my train of thought now.
Oh, it's Rebel. Rebel wanted to say something.
There is stuff to go on about, which is what we're going to predict for the Since Squeeze here. How we're going
That is
to
true.
what we're going to what the organisation thing is going to, because we've been delaying talking about a few things because of that.
Yes, that is true. I've forgotten what you're talking about, though, so carry on.
Yeah, right. So basically, contested positions and like close divisions, which basically means everything. So let's start off with, it's kind of for Squee, but kind of for all of us as well. How do you reckon North Kai's second and third place are going to turn out?
I think... Crap. Honestly,
All right, who are the
I
other
think
two
Gohan's
qualifiers
and
going to be?
Booze. Gohan's and Booze.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be first place Super Saiyan, second place Gohan's, third place Booze.
See, now I don't think the Super Saiyans have it.
And I'm not surprised, JK.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
they're a bit shit.
You guys are just the worst.
Hey, listen, if you're going to set yourself up, don't blame us if we take the opportunity, okay? It's not our fault.
So predictable. That's
Like,
the
if your self-hatred is that much, then
Yes,
jeez.
yes, you are.
problem. Again, so predictable. Okay. East Sky then, I guess. Namek androids, how's that going to turn out? Or I guess Blades as well, because that's
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
And Derp.
I think Blades will probably keep the top spot. And I think Namek will beat out the androids. If I had to guess, I would say it's not going to change. It's going to be Blades. I mean, it might change over the next 4 weeks, but I think in the end it'll be Blades, Namek, androids.
Okay.
In that order.
Mm-hmm. West Sky?
The way things are going, I think Valkyries are going to get the bye week, and it's going to be Dragon Ball Warriors and then Muscle.
And then South Sky.
You know, it sounds weird, but if I had to say, I would say it would be Majins, get the bye week, then Earth Defenders, and then Rugrats.
Wow, really?
Really?
Rugrats not Guinea Force.
Because the Ginyu Force has had 2 really strong weeks, and I really want them to keep doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have enough faith in them yet to believe that because the Rugrats have had a decent season, and overall, I still think the Rugrats are the better team.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I could be proven wrong. I think that one is the hardest decision for me to make, but I just feel that at the end, the Rugrats will probably get one more win than the Ginyu Force will.
Okay. So if we look at the let's look at a couple of teams. Let's look at Cold, Derp, and Saiyans. 3 bottom teams in their divisions. The 3 teams with, among the lowest win-loss record in the league. And like, how do you think those teams are actually going to fare for the rest of the season? Like, what do you reckon? Obviously you think that they're going to stay at the bottom of their divisions, but how do you think it's going to pan out? Are they going to stay there because they lose every game, or is it just going to be, looking at the games that they've got coming up? How do you think, like, for Cold?
You know what? It's a good thing. I should look. I should look at the games coming up because I don't have that in front of me. Give me 1 second. I will. Let's see. Well, for week 12, let's see here. Earth Defenders versus Cold. I really think Earth Defenders are going to win that, so I don't think Cold's going to catch up to anyone next week.
Yep.
And Booze versus Derp. I did say I think Derp's going to win that, so maybe the Booze will stay one ahead of them. And then we've got, Gohan's... You said Gohan's versus GB Warriors. Yeah. So honestly, I don't think North Kai Division is going to change at all next week. I really think Cold's just going to stay there. And that means that Cold has...
3 weeks.
3 weeks to not just catch up, but win.
Yeah.
They have to win, too, because I think that Gohan's and Boo have both beaten them.
Gohan's haven't played them yet. That's week 14.
Okay. Right, okay.
Week
so
14 is actually going to be
Namek...
pivotal for Cold.
Yeah, here's the thing. Cold versus Earth Defenders, I don't think Cold will win it.
No.
Cold versus Namekians, I don't think Cold will win it.
No.
Cold versus Gohan's,
I'd probably go for Cold in that one, actually.
That. Yeah.
Right now, I would punt Cold for that victory. And then week 15, you have the old rivals. You have Androids versus Cold. Again, that's...
And I don't think they're going to win that.
No.
So now, if we look at Gohan's, which is let's see, Gohan's DB Warriors not going to win that.
Yep.
Gohan's versus Rugrats might actually win that.
Yeah.
And then Gohan versus
Cold.
Yeah, Cold.
It's gonna be a close finish for those, but right at the end of the season.
And then Gohan's versus Valkyries, they'll lose that. So basically, what I'm predicting right now is only one extra win.
One win for Cold, and that win against the Gohans, and for the Gohans to lose one or for Cold to win one. That's
You know what? Yeah, I agree because
that's so close.
I think week 14 is going to be pivotal for Cold and Gohan. So I might change my thing, or I will say this: I honestly think Cold versus Gohan's is going to be the deciding factor of who's in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I really do. And I'm looking at Booze. Let's see, Booze versus Derp. I think that's it. Could go either way. It really could. Booze not going to win against the Blades. Boo's probably not going to win against the Androids. And
be close against the Namex, but I don't think they'll beat them.
No, I don't think they'll beat them either. So I don't know. See, so I'm not looking at any victories for the Boos either.
That's why I wanted you to have a look. It's a really interesting last 4 weeks.
You know what? I take back. I can't predict North Kai Division. I really can't, because every single one of these teams has hard matches in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And Cold is only one win away from both teams. I don't know. Let's go to something that's easier.
Let's go to Derp.
How about Derp?
Yeah.
Derp is two games behind. Both Namex and Androids.
Yeah. So they have they're up against Boo, which we think could go either way. So that's one, potentially.
I think they could win that.
Then you're looking
Super Saiyans are not going to win.
Yeah.
DB Warriors.
I don't think they'll win that one.
No.
I seriously don't see that one happening. And then final match is against Rugrats.
They might win against the Rugrats. So maybe two wins.
Which gets them equal.
The problem is, 2 wins gets them equal. I just don't think they can make it.
No.
I don't think they can make it, because equal's not good enough.
No.
Now, as far as who wins first place, Blades, Namex, or Androids, let's see. The Namex and Androids need to win too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Namex...
Up against Rugrats.
Yeah, I think they can win that.
Up against Cold. They can definitely win that.
Definitely win that.
Up against Saiyans. Can win
definitely
that.
Could win that.
And then up against Boo.
And then up against Boo. And they could win that.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see the Namex going 4 straight wins. And if they go 4 straight wins, I think they got to... I don't know if I see the Blades getting 4 straight wins. Against the Saiyans, yes. Against Boo, yes.
Against Super Saiyans, probably not. Close one, but probably not. But we'll see. And again against Margins, which is also going to be another close one.
And I don't think they're going to win that either. So honestly, I could see... No, I think they might win against Margins. So I think, like I said, I think Blades will keep it, but it's going to be so close. Namekians are going to be knocking on their doorstep. Will Muscle knock on their doorstep? They got to fight Valkyries next week. I don't see them winning that.
No.
Valkyries... Muscle's never been good against the Valkyries, ever.
No. They're up against the Saiyans.
Muscle versus Saiyans, they could win that.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle versus Rugrats, they could win that. And Muscle versus Super Saiyans are not going to win that.
No.
So I don't think the Muscle has as good a chance as Namek does for claiming that top spot. I think the Blades really are going to stay at the top. I think Namek will be right behind them, and I think Muscle will fall a little bit. But I honestly don't think Derp has a shot.
No, I don't think the Saiyans have a shot either. Actually, you're looking at they're going up against Blades, Muscle, I had it a moment ago, Namek, and then Ginyu Force. So
No, I think the only one they might win is Ginyu Force.
probably. But even then,
Unless Scouter Vegeta. Here's the problem with the Saiyans. Scouter Vegeta is still scary. He has the potential to win those matches.
he's too unpredictable.
But unless he does that, I see them winning maybe one of those matches, and they need two to even tie.
Yeah.
So I just don't see.
And with the tie, they would need to beat Muscle as well.
Right. Definitely. Now that one could be. It is Saiyans versus Muscle. Is what week? Let's see here. Saiyans versus Namek, Saiyans versus Ginyu Force.
14?
Saiyans versus Muscle is 13. So that could be a very interesting match. If Saiyans win next week and Muscle loses, which there's a good chance Muscles will lose next week, and if the Saiyans somehow magically beat the Blades, then week 13 could be very, very interesting.
Yeah, just for the whole division. For a couple of divisions, actually.
Definitely. Week 13 might be a really, really good week. Now, and then if we go to South Kai Division, alright, Majins, Earth Defenders. Let's see who could... Because Earth Defenders are only, what, one behind them or two?
Two.
They're two behind them.
And they also face each other in week 13.
Right. So, our Earth Defenders could beat Cold.
Yep.
Let's say Earth Defenders beats Majins.
Mm-hmm. They're up against the Valkyries and Dragon Ball Warriors after that. Those are going to be two really tough.
Yeah, I think they can beat the Dragon Ball Warriors, but I don't know about the Valkyries. So I could say 3 wins. And if one of those wins is the divisional match, you got the Majins going up against the Androids. That's going to be a tough call, but I think Majins would win it. Then you've got...
Earth Defenders, obviously.
Alright, Earth Defenders.
And then Ginyu Force and Blades.
I think they can win against the Ginyu Force. And then I don't think they can win against the Blades. So that's 2... That's 2 and 2, and then if Earth Defenders won the division, the Earth Defenders would get it. However, that means that Blaze would have to lose 2 of them, including their divisional match, and the Earth Defenders would have to win at least 2 of them, including their divisional match. I would say the favor would be in the Majin's favor.
Agreed.
To clinch that top spot.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not impossible for Earth Defenders by any stretch,
no.
But I'd say maybe 30-40% chance.
Agreed.
And then between the Ginyu Force and the Rugrats...
Ginyu Force has got Saiyans. Super Saiyans, sorry, to begin with.
Yeah,
then the Valkyries, then the Majins, and then finishing off against the Saiyans. That's maybe 1 win, I reckon, out of that.
Honestly, even if the Ginyu Force keeps up their good streak, that is 3 wins I don't know they can get. Even with their increased performance, I just don't know. So, actually... Yeah, like I said, I think the Rugrats will, because it's Rugrats versus Namek. Namek will probably take that. Rugrats versus Gohans. Rugrats could have a good chance of that.
Mm-hmm.
Rugrats versus Muscle. Probably Muscle. And Rugrats versus Derp. And I think Rugrats can take that, which is more wins than Ginyu. So honestly, I think Ginyu will not make it. It will be. Ginyu's got the tougher road. I'll put it that way. They're both pretty hard. It's kind of interesting how at the end of the season, so many teams that need wins the most have really tough cards these last 4 weeks.
Rugrats do have to rotate out Goten, Trunks, or GT Goku in every match. At least one of those.
So we won't be seeing much Gotenks anymore. Well, we'll see Gotenks maybe in 2 more matches.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So... But that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. Trunks and Goten can be amazing fighters on their own.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Maybe even better than Gotenks.
Honestly, I just think that the Rugrats have a better shot of getting the wins they need than the Ginyu Force does. I think the Ginyu Force is doing spectacularly, but they're just up against really tough opponents.
Yeah. Well, the thing about this, the next few weeks, with the divisions as they are right now, it's so difficult to predict. Like even the matches themselves. Like you look at that and you say, well, you think Earth Defenders will take 3 wins. I could just as easily see them lose all of those matches as win all of those matches. The only team I don't see losing in any of those matches is the Super Saiyans. And even then, a lot of their matches have been really, really close. So it's possible. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting end to the season. I'm really looking forward to it.
Explosive.
Oh.
That's right.
Yep.
So, am I allowed to end now?
I think you may finish it now.
No, you know what? I'm actually just gonna leave like the recording on for a bit. I'm gonna go make myself a pizza. I'll come back in a bit. I'll have some fresh ideas. We can go over them. I think it's probably worthwhile if you two just sit and chat for a bit.
Yeah, sure. We'll
I'm
just wait.
just gonna let it record while I recite the alphabet 16 times.
Okay. That will take a while because you'll get confused. You'll get a bit lost and everything. It'll be awful.
I think it's an all-day affair, honestly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Last time it was about 12 hours. Yeah.
That was just as a reciter once.
It's the L-M-N-O-P. I can't find that letter anywhere. I don't even know what it looks like.
Nice.
Thing is, I still do that. That's sad.
And really, a really long name for just a letter.
Absolutely, it's a lot of syllables, isn't it?
Yeah. We should get on that. We should tell.
We should nerf that.
It's
Anyway.
beating our vocal cords too much. This is terrible. We can't have this.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This is the end of the Zcast for post week 11. You can join the next week of Dragon Ball Z League, I think next Sunday at, again, Rebel hasn't been cut out. It's just
Not next Sunday, the 13th of April.
13th of April. That is when you can catch next week at 4 PM Central Time. But until then, we are gone. Thank you very much for joining us. Say goodbye, Rebel and Squid.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you later.
See